Have you ever noticed how Tom Holland Spider-Man instantly clicked with audiences, while Andrew Garfield's didn't? It's strange, right? Even though Andrew is widely respected as an actor and even loved by many fans, his version of Spider-Man never earned the same embrace. Both Tom and Andrew are hugely talented. Both had major studio backing. Both wore the same red and blue suit. In fact, both are British. But only one became the successor to Iron Man's legacy and the future of the MCU. The other stumbled through two films that even Sony doesn't like to mention. So why did Holland's Spider-Man soar, while Garfield struggled? Today we'll break it down, looking at casting, studio interference, relatability, and how Tom's version nailed what makes Spider-Man work. At his core, Spider-Man is the everyman. Peter Parker is supposed to be a geeky, awkward kid trying to juggle school, bullies, and rent money, while secretly saving New York from supervillains. Tobey Maguire nailed that awkwardness in the early 2000s. Tom Holland followed in those footsteps, capturing that same energy, just modernized for Gen Z. Andrew Garfield, on the other hand, he was just too cool. Skateboarding through school, rocking perfect hair, and exuding indie band charisma, he looked more like a heartthrob than a bullied nerd. Even Garfield admitted he struggled to tone down his natural charm, and critics picked up on it. Instead of a relatable outsider, his Peter felt like someone who would never be pushed around. A fan summed it up perfectly. It was a reboot when people still loved Tobey, and Andrew was too handsome to be Peter Parker. When your core identity as Peter Parker doesn't land, the whole story collapses. And unfortunately, for Andrew, that was just the beginning. After Tobey Maguire's trilogy ended, Sony rebooted Spider-Man almost immediately, casting Andrew Garfield in 2012. Why so soon? Simple, to keep the rights and compete with Marvel's growing MCU juggernaut. But the rush showed. The Amazing Spider-Man was another retelling of Peter's origin, forced to avoid Raimi's version while cutting out iconic details. No organic web shooters, no J. Jonah Jameson, and Uncle Ben's death practically speed ran with none of the weight Raimi gave us. By the sequel, things got worse. Sony wanted a Spider-Man cinematic universe, so the movie became bloated with villains, setups, and Sinister Six teases. Instead of a Spider-Man story, it felt like a corporate trailer reel. Garfield himself admitted that emotional, character-driven scenes were cut to make room for setups. The result? Two messy films with no clear identity. Meanwhile, Tom Holland's debut was handled with precision. Remember Civil War? Tony Stark shouts, "Under ruse!" And suddenly Spider-Man swings in, steals Cap's shield, and greets the Avengers like a starstruck kid. No origin story needed, no spider bite, no Uncle Ben's 50th death scene, just a simple, electrifying reveal. This smart introduction dropped Spider-Man right into the heart of the MCU. He wasn't rebooted in isolation, he was validated by the Avengers themselves. From there, Holland's Spider-Man grew across Homecoming, Infinity War, Endgame, and his own trilogy. Each appearance raised his profile and deepened his connection to fans. Compare that to Andrew, trapped in Sony's bubble with no crossover, no Avengers, and all the pressure of carrying a cinematic universe alone. It was doomed from the start. Spider-Man has always been the ultimate underdog. He's not rich like Batman. He's not a god like Thor. He's just a broke teenager from Queens trying to survive. And Tom Holland captures this beautifully. He stammers, he geeks out around Tony, he's awkward, nervous, and overwhelmed, just like a real kid in way over his head. Fans see themselves in him because we've all been Peter Parker, insecure, eager, and trying to prove ourselves. As one fan put it, "I love Tobey, but Tom Holland is awesome. He's a great Peter and a great Spidey." Andrew's Peter, by contrast, leaned too much into romance and melodrama, which leads us to the next issue. Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone had undeniable chemistry. Their relationship was the highlight of his movies, but the films leaned so heavily on their romance that they stopped feeling like superhero stories. Instead of Peter Parker struggling with villains, much of the runtime was devoted to breakups, makeups, and school drama. For Spider-Man, that balance is deadly. Holland's films, by contrast, struck the balance. His romance with MJ added emotional stakes without overwhelming the superhero story. The action always came first, and the relationship supported it. And most importantly, Holland's movies remembered something Garfield's didn't. Spider-Man should be fun. Here's the crazy part. Despite being the third live-action Spider-Man in less than 15 years, Tom Holland became the most universally accepted. Why? Because his arc mattered to the MCU's larger story. His mentorship with Tony Stark wasn't just fan service. It was the emotional glue tying Spider-Man to the Avengers. His moments in Infinity War and Endgame are unforgettable. That hug with Tony? Absolutely iconic. Meanwhile, Garfield's Spider-Man was tied to spin-offs that never materialized, Sinister Six setups, Venom teases, and spy backstory hints. None of it paid off. Instead, it dragged his films down until Sony finally pulled the plug. So let's recap. Andrew Garfield is a fantastic actor, but too cool to be the awkward Peter Parker. His movies were sabotaged by Sony's rushed reboots and franchise-building mandates. His Spider-Man leaned too heavily into romance, sidelining the superhero story. Meanwhile, Tom Holland had the perfect launchpad inside the MCU, surrounded by Marvel's biggest heroes. With his youthful awkwardness, relatable charm, and natural underdog energy, he became the Spider-Man that worked. So what do you think? Was Andrew Garfield unfairly judged because of bad scripts? Or was Tom Holland always destined to outshine him? Let me know in the comments. And if you love breakdowns like this, hit like and subscribe to Silver Screen Hero for more deep dives coming soon.